What's new at Charlie's? What's new at Charlie's? Still on Main. What's new at Charlie's? Tell me what's new at Charlie's? Still on Main.
Hi, welcome to another edition of What's New at Charlie's. Today we're going to be opening up a celebrity bourbon, per se. It's called Brothers Bond. It is from the guys that were in the Vampire Diaries. They played brothers in the show. I'm not going to sit here and tell you that Don and I are big fans of the Vampire Diaries. I think it's a little before our time. Or it wasn't meant for us middle-aged guys, but I know it was an extremely popular show, and I know it has a huge following. So these guys were two of the guys on there. Their names were Ian Somerhalder and Paul Wesley. And I've been asked about this bourbon before at Charlie's and hadn't really been able to find it too well. But I did just read an article in Rolling Stone where it was voted the best celebrity bourbon. And that gave me a little more kick in the butt to go out and look for it, Don. So, so now we're excited to give it a try. And, of course, I wouldn't open it without my good friend, Mr. Don Williams, the Bourbon Fool. How are you, Don?
I'm good, Charlie. And we've done some celebrity bourbons or whiskeys before.
Yes.
And, you know, I've seen you bring some props. Like for the Bradshaw bourbon, you brought a terrible towel. And I was really hoping you weren't dressing as a vampire for this.
Dude, I should have thought of it. Now you got my mind racing. I could have had fangs, but whatever. So, you know.
That's why I bring it up after the fact. That's
exactly, because you know I would have done it. So anyway, so we're gonna open up this bottle. Like I said, once again, it was voted the best celebrity bourbon from Rolling Stone. So that's got to give it some credibility in my book. I mean, there's a lot of celebrity bourbons they had to pick from, I'm sure. So. Kind of excited about that. Don, what do you know about the bourbon?
Well, to just stay on the Rolling Stone segment for a minute, just to give you a comparison, they picked their favorite rye was Bob Dylan's Heaven's Door.
Which is nice. It's
right.
a very nice rye. Yeah, right. Absolutely. We have that here at Charlie's. Yeah.
Yep. So this is a real interesting, and what I really like about this bourbon, without even tasting it, is they did their homework and they put together a 4-grain blend by merging some different types of barrels, and they came up with a 4-year-old product. And I really admire that instead of trying to rush to the market with something much younger.
Two of course. Yeah, yeah. Now, I think you mentioned beforehand that this MGP.
It's MGP.
They worked with the guys. So the two guys developed obviously they developed a brothers bond, as you might say.
Correct.
Playing in this show. They both love bourbon. They decided something they wanted to do. They went to the guys. I mean, a lot of people like to knock MGP, but let's face it, they know what they're doing, right? So they went to them and worked together with them to develop this recipe.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And again, I really, really admire the fact that it's, 4 years old is not, 12-year-old, but it's not cheating it and rushing something much younger to the market.
Sure.
It's 80 proof. And one of the other interesting things that I haven't seen too often is they use a number 4 barrel char, which is very common in the industry.
Yeah.
But the barrel heads are a number 2 char.
Huh.
And you don't see that very often, or at least it's not publicized very often.
Sure, right, yeah.
But, it's a relatively high corn, 65% corn, and then basically 22% rye, which will put it in the high rye category, but it does have all 4 grains.
Okay, yeah. So, well, that's yeah. Like I said, my interest is piqued, shall we say. So I say the best thing to do would be to open it and see what it's all about. Don't
I think
you?
that's a good idea.
Let's do it. Yeah, yeah. So you always go into these celebrity tastings with a little bit of how much did they really put into it and how much is it just they ride in their name. But from what I've read about these guys, they really put a lot of work into it. They put a lot of love into it. And I was thinking about this driving in today. I go, if we were celebrities, you and me, we'd have our own bourbon.
We would.
Because we'd have the money and the time to do it, but
We would.
we don't have the money or the time. So we can, how can we knock someone that has?
So we drink.
So we drink other people's bourbon. But cheers. Let's give this a try, man. I think that's a pretty fine drinking bourbon.
It really, the 4 grains, even though it's 22% rye, the balance of wheat and barley soften it up a little bit.
Sure, absolutely. But you still taste the rye.
Oh,
I get the rye.
There's still rye.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the color is a little light, but that's a 4-year-old. I mean,
Sure.
you and I have been tasting a lot of very old product lately.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
That's hard to compare, but this reminds me of another, what I like to refer to 80 proof bourbons as entry level.
Sure. Yeah.
They're for a lot of people who can't, take a stronger proof level
Sure.
or whatever. It's an interesting. I kind of compared to Basil Hayden a little bit.
Yeah. That's not a bad comparison.
And there's a lot of people who are going to like this because the 80 proof is not overwhelming.
Nope.
It's not overly. There's not a distinct burn. It's pretty smooth.
Shall we say quaffable?
You can say that. You can say
I just
that.
did.
I'm now going to get 6 more emails, just guaranteed. Guaranteed. The bottom line is, this has got some very, very smooth vanilla,
Yeah.
which is expected, and it's got a little bit of banana. I get a little bit of banana, just
Yeah, a little banana or maple. Yeah.
and not very much smokiness or wood, but I really, it is a nice, smooth, 80 proof whiskey.
It's a great drinking bourbon, man. I'm impressed. I think it's so. Don, a lot of times we sit up here and we open a bottle of something that's $200. It's a one-of-a-kind bourbon that you can't buy anywhere. I mean, this is a fairly priced bourbon that you're probably going to be out and find. I'm sure they have it at most stores. I don't think it's that hard to come by, and that's something we don't do maybe enough of. But wow, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. You could sit and drink that, and I'm okay with it.
And if you're a fan of the Vampire Diaries, that's another reason.
Another reason to drink it, man.
Another reason to drink it.
We're just judging on the bourbon here, and to me, this is a good drinking bourbon. Nice and easy, nothing crazy, but lots of flavor, and I think they've done a fantastic job.
Yep. It's worth trying for sure. And again, I hats off to them for going to a 4-year product and releasing a 4-year product.
Yeah. I was trying to come up with a vampire joke, but I can't come up with one, so I guess we'll just sign off. So yeah.
There is an employee at Charlie's whose nickname is Vampire.
Yeah, we have our own vampire here at Charlie's, so you guys, that's our lead. Come in and ask Vampire to try a brother's Bond. So he'll be glad to help you out. Yeah, you can't miss him.
Charlie,
cheers, my friend.
Thank you. Thank you for watching, everybody.
Thank you, guys. Nice work.
What's new at Charlie's still on Main? What's new at Charlie's? Tell me what's new at Charlie's still on Main?